Y'all, it's Resurrection Sunday, so happy Easter to all of you. Whatever it is else that you may be celebrating, then good on you. I just wanted to talk today about fear and how you can expand your opportunities and do more, not necessarily without the risk, but while feeling more comfortable in doing it. You see, I like to think about the three different types of energies that we have as physical, mental, and spiritual. I'm not going to get into the nitty and gritty of what all three of those do, what they're for, and how they function, for you or for me. But I think it's just it's pretty safe to say that it is rather similar. The physical realm exists, and you are your own physical being. You interact with the things around you through your five senses of perception and through your body. While some may argue that that's dictated by your mind, I'm here to tell you that your mind simply experiences what is actually happening in the outside world, if it is real, but that's a whole nother discussion entirely. Your mental state, your mind, is something completely different. Because the thing that is in your mind, the stuff that makes up who you are, mentally, no one else can see, no one else can comprehend. Even when it comes to CAT scans or MRIs, any of those technologies, and we've done testing. Sure, when one person sees one thing, it'll make the same part of their brain light up as someone else who is a healthy individual, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those two people are experiencing the same thing. I can't tell you exactly what I'm experiencing now, because even if I were to explain it to you, the way that you perceive my words, my verbal ideas, could be completely skewed based off your own perception, your own reality. You know what I'm saying? A great way to think of it is like different languages. Sure, right now you and I are both thinking and speaking in English. But if I were speaking to somebody who only knew Chinese or only knew Tagalog or something like that, then they're not going to have any idea what I'm saying. And they may look at some of my body language, some of the things that I point to, some of the things that I pick up, and they're going to think, oh, that's very indicative of what he's trying to say. I may pick up this can of tea and say, I hate this tea. But to them, because they don't know English, they're going to think, oh, he must love that tea because he's smiling while he's holding it. All right. My point in saying this is that we all have our own different perceptions. And it makes it kind of difficult to understand why some people have what we would consider irrational fears, but to those people it may be completely normal. And, there are different explanations for this. Maybe there's a viable reason, such as post-traumatic stress, and it doesn't necessarily need to be on a magnificent scale. You know what I'm saying? Maybe as simple as your mother yelling at you when you were little, and now for some reason you feel uncomfortable around women who somewhat resemble your mother, whether it be in demeanor or through physical attributes. I'm here to tell you that regardless of what your fear is, if you want to get something done, if you have some aspirations but you feel insecure, like for instance you have stage fright or something of the sort, it's still completely possible for you to get through that through rational thinking. And what I mean by rational thinking is not relying on someone else's idea or something that you heard in the past, not asking for advice, but as simple as thinking this one phrase that we hear all the time, but I'm sure most of us take for granted. What is the worst that can happen? Seriously, think about that. What is the worst thing that could possibly happen if I mess up? If I stand in front of this crowd of people and I stutter and I say all of these words and I jumble them up and even sit there for 50 minutes at a time and just take long pauses because I have no idea what's about to come out of my mouth. I have no idea how these people are going to accept my idea. What is the worst thing that could happen? Let me tell you. People will sigh, they will turn their heads, they will roll their eyes, wonder when you're getting off stage. But as long as you're still on that stage, you're still going to have their attention. Much like I have yours, even though I know some of you may not be interested in everything that I'm saying. But you're still using your time to listen, right? I'm just doing what I feel like doing. What I feel like I should be doing. And frankly, I'm happy with it. I invite you to do the same thing. Go out, get that mountain bike that you've always wanted, start practicing tricks on it, and if you fall a few times, get up. Because once you've fallen a few times, you know it's going to hurt. But you know the same instance that you try that trick again, you're going to think, what's the worst that could happen? I'll fall again. And guess what? Just like I did the first time, I'll get back up again. You know? You want to compete in a race, you know, a relay or something of the sort. What's the worst that could happen? I could trip, I could scrape, I could fall. I could drop the baton. Oh, it's the end of the world because I dropped a baton. No, it's not. What's the worst that could happen? Whatever the situation is that you know, whatever the aspiration is that you particularly have, I invite you to go out and do it. And if you ever find yourself having any hesitation whatsoever, just take a step back, pause for a little bit, and ask yourself, hey, what's the worst that could happen? And seriously think about the worst outcome of what you're doing, because I doubt that's bad enough to make you give up on your dreams. It's as simple as saying, yeah, maybe this thing isn't exactly what I want. Maybe it won't work out exactly the way I want to. But surely if it's an actual aspiration, if it's something that's been on your mind for months, years at a time, decades at a time, you know, maybe the risk is worth it. You know, because I'm sure there have been a lot of us that have thought about skydiving and thought about the possibility of falling out of the sky. Yeah, that's scary. But people rarely die from that. Especially if it's your first time, you're going to have someone jumping with you. They do tandem jumps. So relax. Backup parachutes and all of that jazz. What is the worst that could happen? Think about it. Much love.